get into spirituality have the idea that it should be effortless, that the path to enlightenment shouldn't be paved by struggles, that when you already have a stressful life and you engage in spiritual practice, they should only further relaxation and feelings of well-being. And it's easy to understand when you come from this westernized idea of meditation, where it's mostly used for relaxation and stress relief. Then most people who start from that standpoint, from this knowledge, they think that if they take meditation and spiritual practices more seriously, that it will be more of the same. Because also oftentimes you hear in spiritual teachings that the natural state, the true self, is characterized by effortlessness. That once you are aware of what you actually are, life flows effortlessly. So I'm going to explain to you why currently you may not feel that you are living an effortless life, and whether you should apply effort and serious practice to reach spiritual insights, or whether you should just go down the easy path and only do what feels comfortable. So to start out, if you're listening to this video, most commonly you find yourself in the mental state where you are identified with the doer. It feels like you are confronting a world out there, and you are an individual who has to do, who has to manage his life, manage the circumstances, get to work, struggle with all of the difficulties of life, and arrange all of these individual aspects of your life for your benefit. And that feels like you have to motivate yourself to do all of that. Live healthy, exercise, earn money, be friendly to other people, always show your best side. And hidden underneath all of that is the feeling that you are somehow slightly resisting all of that. And you have to do it. But deep down you feel like you would actually just rather not want to do some or many of those things. And then you come to spirituality and you hear, oh wow, when you know your true self, when you are identified with awareness, and when you get rid of any identification, ultimately, that it will just flow effortlessly. And this sounds so nice. But what you have to understand is that you cannot get to that place from your current state of consciousness. While you are in the doership mode, while you are identified with this mind-body entity that you think you are, you cannot think yourself out of the doer. So one trap that you could fall into, but that won't get you there, is the idea that you can just think to yourself, okay, I will stop doing. I will not do anymore what I don't like to do. I will only from now on do what feels right, and then life will feel effortless. But no, that's a trap, because it's still the doer who thinks to himself or makes a decision for himself not to do certain things anymore. But that won't turn out very well, because then many great things that you have set up in your life that need effort will break down. Maybe you lose your job, you lose your friends, and you lose all the comforts that you are currently working for if you go down that path of thinking, I will only do what feels comfortable because I'm spiritual, and spirituality should lead to effortlessness. And from my insights, I can tell you that's a trap. But you will find yourself in that trap maybe, and then you will realize that it won't work, and it's not the effortlessness you were looking for, because life will then ultimately present you with even greater struggles that you have then to dig yourself out of again. So that's not the way to do it. You cannot think yourself to effortlessness. Rather, I can tell you the way to get to true effortlessness is through applying even more effort into your spiritual practice, and especially into mindfulness practice during daily activity and a dedicated meditation practice or meditation/contemplative practice. And that is because you want to be able to transcend the whole doership identification that creates the feeling of effort in the first place. So you have to apply more effort, at least for a certain time, until the new state that you will eventually open yourself up to being able to embody that and being able to realize that through effort. You have to do that through effort. It takes some time until all of that will become effortless. And once you have clearly solidified the state of no identification with any single thing of your experience, and you have transcended all ego identification, then truly life will feel effortless. And the doer that you currently think you are struggling with, or as, that will go on doing whatever it has to do. But the afterthought that it is you who has to struggle in those actions, that is no longer there. And it's currently there beneath the radar, so to say. You are not aware that you are this afterthought of that also encompasses free will of you, the entity doing. That will be dissolved. This illusion will be dissolved. And you are, while the doer is doing, ever peaceful, even blissful, presently aware, no matter what is going on. And I can tell you this from first-hand experience. Even as I'm speaking and doing these videos right now, the doer has to think. It has to focus, think about the vocabulary, as English is not my first language, has to think about the pronunciation, has to do all of these things. But what would have previously felt like a struggle, there is no more resistance, there is no more identification with that illusion that at first thought it had to do all of these things. From pure empty awareness, all of this is just going on. It is going on for me right now in this very second that I'm speaking, just as this video is going on for you. There's no one that is identified with as the doer. There's only awareness of what is going on, of this present moment. There's no struggle to pull the not yet present future into this present moment, and there's no resistance to what will come next. I am as unaware of what will come next as you are. As you don't know what my next sentence will be, I as the non-obvious for you, awareness behind all of this isn't aware of that as well. And there is no more resistance. And that's the place you have to get to in order to experience the promised effortlessness in spirituality. But you cannot do that through the doer itself. The doer actually, in order to prepare this mind-body vehicle for the insight of true self, that comes about through effort. That comes about through disciplining yourself to a daily meditation practice. Ideally 2 or 3 times a day for a half an hour session at least. To really do the practices, Kriya Yoga, contemplation, self-inquiry. And only through that will you be able to shift away from the doer identification step by step through several step process, ultimately to the realization that you are essentially non-existent in any of it, that you are uninfluenced by anything that's going on. You are not even awareness, because awareness sounds like it's a separate thing, and that I have to really make clear, because oftentimes you say enlightenment is the knowing that you are pure awareness. No, that's a great step ahead, but it's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is even to disidentify from anything, and making awareness an object that you can identify with is still identification. So to wrap this up, you will ultimately get to the point of complete effortlessness in your whole life, in your everyday situation, but you have to realize it will come about differently than you currently probably think it will. Your ego, self, mind, body, entity, this still has to work, very likely. We'll have to deal with all of these challenges of personal life. But it can do so in a state of non-attachment and disidentification from the real. You can disidentify sort of from all of that and remain always blissful, peaceful, unchanged from any of it. And that will over time greatly also influence this mind-body that is currently experiencing a lot more stress through that false identification, through consciousness being wrapped up in only this limited self idea. That creates a lot of stress for this body. But if you remove all of that identification, it will also be a lot less stressful for the human body. So apply effort, discipline into your practice to build it up, to build the habits really that will ultimately serve you very well in achieving your spiritual goals. And so while it can be true from a certain point of view that there is no goal in spirituality, it's only true in retrospect. It's not true from the perspective that you are most likely currently identified with. So looking back from pure awareness, there is never really any effort in spiritual practice, because awareness itself, or even more precisely, because awareness is nothingness, the nothingness cannot apply any effort, but the doer, the relative self, this entity, that has to apply effort. And I hope this made clear why there can be so much misunderstanding out there in spirituality about whether your practice should involve discipline and effort. Hope this was helpful. If you're interested in more detailed guidance on how to actually implement all of these practices in your life, then I offer my coaching program. It is usually between 3 and 6 months of weekly personal guidance, where we talk about your progress, your current struggles, and I give you my tips and insights on how to really move on to the next step. If you think that's something for you, just click on the link down below. You will find there a link to the coaching, and you can send me an email through my website, and we can get in touch. And the first call is free, where we can talk about all of the specifics and see whether that's something that could be of help to you or not. So yeah, with that, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.